it sounds like you guys had a huge handle in the break in the case. And I was watching some of your YouTube videos. So the one that I watched of you guys on the pond, that was earlier in October, right?
Yeah, so that video came out October 2nd, but we were actually there around
September.
September 27th or 28th is when we were there, and we released that video October 2nd.
So take me back through just how you guys got a hold of this case, how you got involved, how'd that start?
Yeah, so as you know, we have a YouTube and a Facebook series called Adventures with Purpose, and on that we have 18 million people a month that watch us. With that, our big thing is pulling out cars out of the environment as scuba divers. That we were once told by the city up in Portland that said, hey, there's a car at a closed boat ramp, but you cannot have access to that closed boat ramp to clean up the environment. It's out of sight, it's out of mind. We didn't take that answer too kindly, and so we figured, hey, if we just get really big lift bags, we can float these cars to a public boat ramp and we can remove them. And that's kind of how this whole movement with Adventures with Purpose got started, with cleaning up the environment and focusing on car recovery. One thing led to another, and people started finding out that we can recover cars from the bottoms of rivers and lakes. And it was last year that a family reached out to us and said, hey, we have a lost loved one in the Missouri River. Can you make your way to Missouri and help bring resolution to this? And I asked Sam, I said, Sam, you in for a 32-hour drive?
Absolutely.
He said, I'm there for you. Yeah. And that's really what has really sparked this entire movement for us to get out here to serve in the way that we are with helping families. One thing led to another with a couple of other recoveries that, some by accident and some that were focused that people were reaching out. And we decided, hey, let's take a 45-day road trip this fall and see how many families we can help out along the way. How many cars can we pull out of the environment? And so on this 45-day road trip, Ethan and Hampton just happened to be one of our first stops along the way as we're making our way across the northern part of the U.S., looping over to the East Coast before we make our return trip to Oregon and Washington, where we're from. After the video came out of Ethan that we ended up doing, with our success in locating where Ethan was not on that trip, a few of our fans reached out and said, we think he might be here, here, or here. Have you searched these locations? And with that, it was because the tips that, Adventures with Purpose is not Sam and Jared. Adventures with Purpose are the 15 million viewers a month that let us know where those vehicles are at with potential, lost loved ones. And that once a video does come out and we may not have found their lost loved one, that they're able to give us these additional tips. And because of that, we had a few extra days on our trip back to Oregon where we were down in Kansas City area. And so we backtracked just a little bit to, see if by chance we could, find Ethan before we went home. And it wasn't more than 30 minutes of being back in Hampton in the water that we were actually able to locate him on sonar. We then dove on on our target, and sure enough, it was Ethan's vehicle.
What was that feeling like, finding that and giving some closure, hopefully closure to the family?
So first of all, we've learned that in this realm of helping to close these open wounds and to allow them to start healing, it's not closure. What it is resolution. It's the closing of one chapter to allow them to move forward with the next chapter. And with, and what does it feel like? There are tears. We share a lot of tears on our journey. With this one, the family was not involved. We've had other ones where the families are directly involved, but we have a full day of them being out there with us, and a lot of hugs, a lot of tears. And on this one, particularly with Ethan, it was the moment the car that came up on sonar, like we knew. Yeah, we knew. We looked at each other like, this is Ethan's car, and there were some wet eyes.
When you find the car, do you immediately alert authorities? Like, what's that chain reaction that happened after?
Yeah, so our job is to let the law enforcement know immediately that, hey, we have identified the vehicle, at which point, we don't go into it, we don't touch it other than we have identified. We have 100% positive identification because of the plate number and the make and model. It now becomes, a crime scene is what it is. They have to treat it, with the utmost respect and authority of, what if this was foul play, and they have to preserve, all evidence. And so for that reason, we stay on scene to offer up our services, because I think that across the U.S. I think that there's been no other team that pulls more vehicles than we do yearly. So we do have that knowledge and skill if they run into anything trickier, that they need our assistance to help get this car out. With this one, they had a very competent dive team that came in, so they were able to, preserve the evidence and take proper pictures and video, and then they were able to remove the car today, also confirming that yes, there were human remains inside of the vehicle. With that, you do have to wait for the coroner's report before they're actually able to identify, whether it is Ethan or not. So right now we can say that, we have found Ethan's car.
They had already searched that area and that body of water, correct? And then you guys came along and found it. I mean, what do you make of that?
We don't throw anybody under the bus. Remember, we're coming along 7 years later, and at the time they searched at, how old was their technology at the time? So was it 7 years old? Was it 10 years old? That we're coming in with, brand new technology that, yes, sonar has been around, but sonar and technology has gotten a lot better. Saying some of our equipment has only been out for 6 months. And so with that, the right position, the right time, the right angle, the right settings, I don't fault any previous search team on this one. And it just happened to be we didn't listen to the sheriff when he said, you're wasting your time. There's no reason to look there. For me, I had not personally looked there. Sam had not looked there. So that's why we wanted to put eyes on it ourselves. So that way we could check it off of our box.
There's a reward in this case. Is that ever discussed in the cases that you guys pursue?
We don't pursue cases based upon, race, gender, creed, or reward money. We chose this one because it happened to be coming across the top of the U.S. as we go back down and around. In fact, this is the only case on our entire 45-day road trip that even had a reward attached to it. So it was never a part of the reason for us being here. But I will say that, we will not turn it down if it does come our way, because we are 100% volunteers. We are self-funded, and the money will go to a good cause for us to continue to upgrade our equipment and for us to come out here and help more families.
What happens for you guys next?
We have 2 more cases on our way home to Oregon, so we have 5 more days left on our trip. My wife said be home by October 31st, so it's really the not just the support out here with the viewers and and everybody that has helped us with AWP, but it's also the wives and the girlfriends at home.
I mean, how is it rare to have cases with cars submerged, with vehicles submerged? No, they're everywhere.
Yeah, they are everywhere. One of the cases that we solved shortly after we looked for Ethan the first time is we made our way down to, I think within 3 or 4 days, we were down in Linwood, North Carolina, Nicholas Allen, and it didn't take us more than 30 minutes to identify that, mom's crossover is in the water, and that's at that point then it was turned over to the local sheriff as well. So with Judy and Trudy, Nicholas's mom and aunt, they were able to bring Ethan home that night. Or I'm sorry, not Ethan, but Nicholas Allen home that night.
Yeah, because it just sounds very niche and very nuanced. But I mean, you guys are doing a huge service, right? To a lot of police departments or sheriff's departments just don't have the most updated technology, and then you guys can come in and help, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of where social media is going with the more that defund the police, or there's just not enough money for agencies, that we are able to come into this, to be blessed in such a way that not just us coming and being boots on the ground, the detectives with the sonar and the right equipment, as well as the expertise in the dive and to bring vehicles up, but also all of the viewers that come into this, giving us those tips. This really is a open source platform of everybody coming together, and I think that you're going to start seeing more and more of it. And the biggest thing is for governmental agencies to be more receptive of this. We've ran into some agencies that, they've just it's a turf war. And the moment you get into their jurisdiction, it's just, headbutting. Whereas other ones like, Franklin County, amazing people to work with. They were very accepting of us being there, gave us what information they could. It was an open investigation. So, there's only so much information they can share. But also allowing us to go out there as long as we're doing it appropriately. The big thing is, don't trespass on other people's property. So every property that we were on, we didn't have permission for it. And communicating properly. And if you do find something, being able to stop it, you know, what you're doing, and do make contact with the proper authorities on that one. But, you know, here's one of the messages we want to share with us as well is sometimes I do get a little frustrated in that Sam and I, we don't have to be there, because while our specialty is underwater search and recovery, that we're divers and we can bring this stuff up, there's so many people out there that already have, you know, rubber rafts or canoes or small boats with friends that have sonar, that you hear a missing person in your city or in your state. We invite you to get out there and see what you can do to help out to try to locate these people underwater. Start turning your sonar on at boat ramps, because you never know when you're going to find, you know, somebody's lost loved one. And if you go back and you just do Google searches, cars found, body found in car, and you start looking at this stuff on Google, you're going to be amazed at how many people have been found over the years by accident. Well, we're no longer out here looking, by accident. We're out here, with a few leads, and we're looking to bring them home on purpose.
Anything else you guys want to add?
We do appreciate you mentioning, our YouTube and Facebook channel, the cause not be without everybody else, and that we are 100% volunteer, and any donations are greatly appreciated to help this movement.